What's going on, everyone? Bran here from Bloody Breakdown, and today I am going to be reviewing the first season of Chucky. Now, I gotta tell you, before we really get into the meat and potatoes of this, going in, there were a lot of red flags. I did maintain my optimistic perspective. However, there were a lot of red flags going into this one. You know, anytime you're talking about a slasher getting their own TV show, you get thoughts of Freddy's Nightmares, you get thoughts of Friday the 13th, which really had nothing to do with Jason or his mother or any of that mythology. You get these certain ideas floating around your head that maybe it's not going to live up to what that franchise did in the theaters, and in Child's Play's case, even straight to video. You also look at the whole idea of this being on Sci-Fi. I know it's on USA as well, but Sci-Fi is always a red flag. But what I want to say before going into this is that while I did remain optimistic, those red flags stayed in the back of my mind, and I could not be more happy to reveal that those red flags amounted to nothing. I gotta say, right off the bat, before I say anything else, I thoroughly enjoyed this show. So let's go ahead and jump right in, and I'm going to kind of give an abridged version and talk about some things that I appreciated about the show, maybe a couple of things that I think maybe they could have done a little bit better, but like I said, before even getting into this, I'm a fan of this show. Season 2's already been greenlit, and I personally cannot wait. So let's dig in, let's talk about Season 1 of Chucky. So first and foremost, we get a new protagonist and his central group. That being Jake, Devin, Junior, and the Lexi. Her name almost eluded me there for a second. And it was cool to kind of get this because the middle school, high school age-ranged kids is kind of something we've never really seen too much here in the Child's Play franchise, other than the remake from Orion a couple of years ago, which is the only movie in the entire franchise that isn't really canon with the majority of the franchise itself. It's actually the only one. So it really was cool to see that age range kind of deal with our Chucky, so to speak, the original Chucky, the Brad Dourif Chucky. No shade at Mark Hamill's Chucky. The design's garbage, but his voice did as well as it always does, which is fantastic. Speaking of Brad Dourif, he was back for this show. I just mentioned a lot of newcomers. I guess I would be remiss not to mention Devin Saw. And her name eludes me, but she was also the final girl from Jason X, who played Junior's mother in this series as well. Good stuff from them. However, I think a lot of the fans, even if you're like me and you enjoyed the new characters and the new storyline, a lot of it really started picking up, and the viewership started going up and up and up every week when they really brought back more of those legacy characters to mesh in with these new characters. And I think they did a very good job at it. That's not me throwing shade by saying that. I think they did a good job of introducing and establishing these new characters, and then bringing in our legacy characters like Andy, like Tiffany, like Nika, and not only just bringing in these legacy characters just to be brought in, they serve a purpose in this show. It's a really good continuation of the franchise. It's nothing that they're going out on a limb to start a brand new story about, although there are new elements woven in. This is a direct continuation of the last Don Mancini Child's Play film, which was Cult of Chucky from 2017. This one picks up after that. And I just thought they did a really good job of continuing that, because this is one of those few franchises that I have to give credit to, like I do with Scream, like I do with Saw, that, being a horror franchise, a lot of times people are recasted, they scrap storylines, they start fresh, they do this, they do that. It's really hard to find one that has a really coherent, fluid story, no matter how bonkers it may be. Child's Play does that, and that is to be commended. Like I said, it's so very difficult to do that. But yeah, like I said, Kyle was another one that I forgot to mention of the legacy characters that were brought back for this one. Just really good stuff. I gotta say, the The adult actors, I think, did a fair and fine job ranging. I think the child actors did the same, about a fair to excellent job with them as well. But, you know, as far as the story goes here, essentially what we're dealing with in this story is, the overarching story is that Chucky is utilizing some new voodoo once again. Not just the voodoo to, you know, tear his soul into pieces and be able to inhabit more than one body. He's doing something a little bit different this time. He's kind of upping the ante, so to speak, where he would be trying to corrupt an innocent, was the way that they put it. To take an innocent child and make he or she commit murder would allow him to create, in essence, an army of Chuckies. And that eventually does come to fruition. Now, he spends the majority of the season trying to get Jake to commit murder. He tries to get Lexi to commit murder before finally getting Junior, that little bastard. I think I had a feeling about him to commit murder. And with that, he is able to bring to life his army of 70 plus Chucky dolls to distribute across the country to wreak havoc. And I got to tell you, it you know, the whole voodoo angle in and of itself, no matter what, is always a little corny. But in this franchise, I like the evolution of the whole voodoo angle. You know, it goes from he can move his soul into an inanimate object, or, you know, later on he can move it into adamant objects. He can tear his soul into pieces and spread his mojo around, so to speak, to now being able to you know, control an army. And I like how they did it too. It wasn't given to him. He had to earn it. You know, even the antagonist had to earn it in this one. So I did appreciate that. This show was special to me for a lot of reasons, but one of which is because it's difficult for me to really get into television shows, especially horror. Now, horror's my bag when it comes to cinema. But there are not a lot of shows out there, active shows, that I'm really into. I think The Walking Dead is probably one of them. One of like 8 people that still watches that show. But Chucky really came in at a time. Well, I'll say Dexter now too, since it's back. But Chucky came in and has done something that not a lot of TV shows have been able to do for me in a long time, which is keep me consistently entertained and interested. From week to week, from the debut episode all the way until the finale, I looked forward every week to seeing Chucky. I looked forward every week to seeing what would happen, how the dynamic would change between the characters, how the story was going to evolve. And every week, I have to say, I was not disappointed. I think really my main negatives would be some acting from time to time from some of the child actors, but these are things I would expect. These are the things that you should see from up-and-coming actors and actresses who are, you know, getting their feet wet, so to speak, and they're getting their name out there. Not to say that I thought that they did an awful job, but sometimes it left a little something to be desired. But I think that's just something that's going to come with time for a lot of these young actors and actresses. So on the whole, I think they did a really fantastic job, especially for their age and skill levels. So yeah, I mean, it's really difficult for me to come up with things I didn't like about the show. To be honest with you, I think that they scored in many different directions here. I think they scored with casting overall. I think that the writing was spectacular. I think that the effects and the puppeteering and whatnot were done extremely well, especially for a TV show, a Sci-Fi USA TV show at that. It just really looks to me like Don Mancini and his crew really overcame any and all obstacles and hurdles that were thrown at them to really pull off an amazing show. And the finale, holy crap, is it an amazing finale. Bringing back all these legacy characters, making the new characters front and center, the direction of the story, just incredible. I mean, there's a scene or scenes in the finale where Chucky is literally going from seat to seat in the theater, stabbing people right in their ass from up under the seat. I mean, you know, talk about, you know, tearing someone a new asshole, right? So, just an amazing finale, like I said, on top of that, because as good as the show was, from episodes 1 to 7, and it really was, it was building to this big crescendo in a way that a lot of TV shows, I'll be just honest with you, fail at these days. But I think Chucky did a great job at that. You kind of got a little, I guess we're going to get into a little bit more spoilers here, but I guess if you're watching a review of an entire season, maybe that's to be expected. Really played with me a little bit there in that finale with the possibility of Andy being dead. I did not like that. However, that is remedied, which is good because it kind of just seemed like it was breezed by, like, oh, yep, Andy's dead, whatever. But that was remedied in the end when he comes back and goes to take care of those 70-plus Chucky dolls there. But we're even reintroduced to the Tiffany doll in the last, the closing moments of the finale. There are so many different things that aren't resolved. Like, we're satisfied with things, I'll say that, but things aren't resolved. Which is great considering that season 2 is upcoming, which is great that there's going to be a season 2 in general. I'm so ecstatic about that, because anytime you see a really good show, a lot of times you really don't get to see it meet its potential. And I hope that now that we're given some breathing room with Chucky, we're going to get to see its full potential. I hope to see the budget go up on the next season. I hope to see some new characters and things of that nature. I mean, take into consideration, folks, this show was number 2 behind Squid Game. Yes, behind Squid Game, behind this huge, culturally relevant event of a show that took the world by storm. Chucky was right behind that. That's incredible to think that some quote-unquote cheesy, schlocky slasher TV show about a killer doll is right behind a show with that much relevancy. That goes to show you right there, the slasher genre is not dead, the Child's Play franchise is not dead, Chucky is not dead, figuratively and literally, and I couldn't be happier to make that declaration here in this video. So here's what I'll say. I will say I think they did a great job of handling legacy characters, a great job of introducing new characters, a great job with the special effects and the puppeteering, especially giving the limitations. I think the story, the writing is definitely to be commended here. Chef's kiss on the writing. I can't say enough about it. And if you are worried about, this being a sci-fi, especially a Sci-Fi USA show, don't worry about that. Throw those red flags out the window. It's an amazing show that if you're a fan of the franchise, you'll appreciate. If you're a younger person who likes horror or who likes Chucky or, whatever, I think you could really get into this. This could kind of be that launching point for you to get into this franchise or to get into horror or slasher or whatever the case may be. I just think this show's a great opportunity for stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, just a few more things here before we depart. This show doesn't skip on the violence. It doesn't skip on the language. It's Chucky. It really is. It's Chucky in an environment where you don't think Chucky is possible. Another thing really quickly I want to talk about here before I end this, because I know I've been talking fucking in circles here, but the flashback scenes where Fiona Dourif is portraying her dad Brad as a young Charles Lee Ray looks amazing. We get flashbacks from Chucky and Tiffany, finding out how they meet, finding out, kind of their dynamic when they were younger, even finding out that Tiffany, by the way, spoiler, scoot ahead 10 or 15 seconds if you don't want to hear this. Tiffany was responsible for alerting Mike Norris, the detective from the first movie who killed Chucky, as to where he was that night. Essentially, putting into motion the Child's Play franchise, making Tiffany an even more valuable character to this story. And I got to tell you, we learned about Chucky as a child even before the Tiffany angle. I mean, dude killed his own mom. Holy shit. Matricide to add to the list of Chucky's sins. And I mean, there's just so much. I mean, and even for it to be like a TV show, like and granted it came on at 10, but it even got very dark there towards the end. Another spoiler, skip ahead 10, 15, 20 seconds if you don't want to hear this, but Nika, by the end of the episode, by the end of the series, Nika's arms and legs are completely cut off of her. Tiffany holding her hostage. She's kind of got a thing for her. There's that big truck of Chucky's going off in the distance with Andy driving it, but doll Tiffany has him at gunpoint. There's so many things that can happen from here going into season 2. It's a fan. If you're a fan of Child's Play, this is a smorgasbord of amazing. And if you're anything like me, you cannot wait to see Chucky return to Sci-Fi and USA for season 2 in 2022. So yeah, with that said, I know I've been talking for a long time now. I do hope you've enjoyed my review and this discussion about what an incredible season that season 1 of Chucky was. So yeah, leave me your comments down below. Let me know what you all think about this first season of Chucky. Leave a like if you've enjoyed this video. You can leave a dislike if you didn't, but no one will be able to see it but me. Yeah, I guess subscribe and turn on notifications if you like what I'm doing here at Bloody Breakdown. And if you really like what I'm doing here at Bloody Breakdown, why don't you go ahead and think about joining the channel by clicking the join button. And becoming a member. I would be eternally grateful. And yeah, I guess you know what? With that said, it's your turn. Let me know what you all think down below in the comments section. Sound off. Let's hear it. I'm Bran from Bloody Breakdown, and we'll catch you all next time.